Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Sun's brand new football show, giving you an alternative look at the beautiful game. I'm Pugh.
And I'm Izzy Barker, and this is SunSport's Tap In. Here at the Tap In, we are all about the fans. We will be joined by some very special guests. These people are the voices of the terrorists, supporters who are loved and sometimes loathed by football fanatics across the nation.
These guys have more than 100,000 YouTube subscribers and are huge voices on and off the North London terraces. It's Tottenham fans, Chris Cowlin, Craig Dearman, and the man behind the already famous I'm Loving Big Ange Instead song, James Black.
Gentlemen, so good to have you here. How are we?
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Good.
How's my rendition of that?
Really good. Yeah, I'll get you. You can come
very
back and stay.
One take as well, wasn't it?
Exactly, mate. Yeah, thanks very
Need a
much.
backing singer.
I feel like as Spurs fans, you kind of have to have a bit of a thick skin from over the years, you know. But how are you feeling this season?
It's been a good season, really good. We've gone through a couple of win-now managers, haven't quite got over the line, but Ange has instilled this confidence and belief, and that party atmosphere is back, mainly down to this man here with the songs. But we're feeling really positive right now. We're playing some entertaining stuff, which is really great to see.
Look, gents, we will talk about your beloved Tottenham in a little while, I assure you, as much as it pains me to do that. I think we're going to start and finish with last Thursday's 2-1 defeat at home to West Ham, and that's all we're going to talk about.
How do we go?
But, of course, there are bigger stories in football at the moment than what's going on in London, believe it or not. The first one, of course, is on the back page of most papers, most days recently, is Manchester United. Absolute malaise at the moment, beaten 3-0 at home by Bournemouth on the weekend. Could have been more if it weren't for the officials getting involved. That was our back page. The day after, Red and Berry, Ten Hag, players not good enough, slamming these Manchester United flops. But it's one of those, right? Chris, I'll go to you first. Where does the blame lie there? Anthony Martial and Rashford have been pretty poor recently. Erik Ten Hag's getting grief. They all hate the owners, it appears, as well. Where do you point a finger?
Players definitely lacking real leadership on the pitch at the moment. And when you think they've gone from winning the league pretty much every year in the 90s and where they are now, you know, they're a top club, but they're just not giving it on the pitch. So many players just are not delivering. Erik Ten Hag is just another manager to go in there that the players are not playing for. And I think it's an absolute mess right now for a club like Manchester United. You know, you think back in the day, like players like Roy Keane, you know, we're going to war. You know, he used that phrase a lot, we're going to war. These players, they're just not giving anything on the pitch right now, which is a shame to see, really, for a club like Manchester United, because their supporters expect the absolute best.
Yeah. Ten Hag has had a lot of the money to spend this time around.
And he seems to take a lot of the responsibility for the signings. He likes a signing, he'll bring someone in. That's not necessarily working. They need to have someone else in charge of that. You know,
there's just no consistency though this season because they've not even drawn a game. It's either win, lose. So it's up, down for their fans, which they're not used to that. I
mean, you only had to look at that Newcastle game, and Martial and Rashford were dropped afterwards. What I do want to ask you guys, right? Because this is what I think is really interesting. Manchester United fans think they are, there's this, and you've all said it or touched on it at least, they're the biggest club, one of the biggest clubs in the world, Like, how long do we keep saying that for?
Yeah.
Like, on what basis are they? So what I want to know from you, how many, just briefly from all of you, how many of Manchester United players would you have at Tottenham?
You go first.
If any.
It used to be quite a few, but I doubt that I'd put any in now, because when you look at Tottenham's starting 11, I know we're going to come on to Spurs, but when you look at our starting 11, it's a fantastic starting 11, and we're a club going places, and Manchester United at the moment is going to be like a mid-table club, if they don't buck up their ideas and improve.
Yeah. So would you have any of them? Just
I was thinking, the reason I'd say zero is because I think Ange said it's about having one bad apple in that dressing room. And I think you look at them, you don't know where them bad apples are, but their attitudes, I think, that's why I wouldn't have any of them.
Yeah, and like this very true point, like Sancho, the young star, who knows what the true story is there? It's probably somewhere in the middle, to be honest with you. Personally, beginning of the season, I've always liked Rashford. always loved Eriksen. I wanted us to buy Eriksen back when he came, when obviously he came back from his heart issues and everything. A bit gutted that we didn't get him from Brentford. Now, obviously, he's injured. I think he's lost a bit. He's not as good as he was. And we've got James Maddison now, who's a better player. So
absolutely no comparison.
Probably not many.
I would ask you how many of them you'd have at Fulham but
they always take our players.
Yeah. 11.
Anyway, should we move on to Arsenal? I mean, another club that's had they're out the door. Another club that's had obviously doing well this season, but seems to be playing not as well as they were last season, and obviously making headlines with a few meltdowns already. Obviously, Mikel Arteta.
Love to see it.
Yeah.
In big as well, seeing it in big.
Yeah. Launching a scathing attack on VAR and English reps, calling it embarrassing, disgraceful, after that Newcastle defeat. What did you make of that meltdown? Was there a glint in your eye when you were watching it?
Well, we love seeing a meltdown at Arsenal, but of course they bottled the league last season, and I think they'll probably do the same this season. I believe that Manchester City will go on to win the Premier League again. But I think, Declan Rice, what a superb signing he has been for them.
Oh, they taught him how to play football, didn't you know that? Yeah. You pay £105 million for someone, it's
they'll probably get a little bit
closer
because of him. But I don't think they've got enough quality to go on to win the Premier League. And
it's interesting because I feel like a lot of their results this season have been very last gasp winners, and it's kind of how sustainable is that over the course of a whole season? And I think, like you say, it seems like they are maybe going to bottle it again at the last hurdle.
As Spurs fans, we're not worried. We was a bit more worried last season, I reckon. And it's so fun watching that man have a meltdown. He's probably the most...
It's every week.
He's most hated man. The fact he couldn't run around in his touchline and go everywhere, do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's amazing. He had to run out the door, didn't he? And just...
Yeah. Well, they obviously lost at Villa, and they are really going under the radar this year, aren't they? Aston Villa, third in the league, absolutely flying.
I mean, Unai Emery to rub salt in the wounds.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah. But he's obviously, he's ripping up trees at Villa, finally restoring his reputation a bit somewhat after he got a bit of grief for taking that poison chalice post Wenger at Arsenal. But what do you make of it? Because after that game, Arteta comes out and he's asked again about VAR decisions because Kai Havertz's goal got ruled out when he clearly handballed it. He goes, he's like, it's clear and obvious. It's clear and obvious. I'm not saying anything more. Yeah. Do you think that's a positive thing? Because he's sort of detracting or distracting from the performance of his players. If that was Ange, I know Ange has taken the moral high ground and he doesn't take the mickey out of referees, but do you think it's a good thing because Fergie used to do it all the time with Man United, or are you just looking at it going, just put a sock in it?
I think, to be honest, Will, Arteta needs to look at the team and his performance and the players and his style, rather than keep blaming VAR every week. I know VAR has dominated the back of the newspapers, after many games this Premier League season. But at the end of the day, you need to create more chances. You need to put the ball in the net.
Didn't Pep call him out as well, didn't he? And he's his master. Yeah. And he said, I'm not going to do a Mikel Arteta. You know?
Yeah.
That's not your boss telling you off, isn't it?
Yeah, not so good mates anymore. Yeah.
We can't talk about Tottenham without talking about Big Ange. Obviously, he's become everyone's sort of lovable dad this season. I want him to read me a bedtime story.
Yeah. He's comedy, isn't he?
Yeah.
But then some people are saying he's kind of made losing a bit of an art form, Spursy, that sort of thing. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Big Ange?
Well, I hate that term Spursy, and I think we're going to lose that Spursy tag under Ange Postecoglou.
God, you're never going to lose this.
That's a bold statement right there.
Will, because he has transformed this football club in the 6 months he's been at the football club. It has transformed that feel-good feeling is back, and the style of football. We haven't seen that entertaining football for some years under multiple different managers, Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, Nuno Espirito Santo. So to get that entertainment, to get that style back, and the football that we've seen so far this season, many Spurs fans have got a big smile on their face. And as I mentioned earlier, the songs that James has been singing at the stadium, that entertainment, that party feeling is back, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
To touch on the song, can we actually get a live performance of it right now? Can we hear it?
When I'm lying in my bed, thoughts running through my head, Pochettino is dead. I'm loving Big Ange instead. I'm through it. Oh, play the go. Yes, I know.
Look, question mark's still there about Ange Postecoglou. Short term, he's obviously doing some great things. It apparently didn't matter that you didn't win in 4 games on the bounce. Apparently that doesn't matter. But you've beaten Newcastle now. Things looking up again. And with all the injuries you've got, it's sort of fair to say that there are extenuating circumstances. Long term, I think there are still question marks whether some of his all-out attacking approach will be sustainable or not, or some people still questioning whether it's naive. But we will get onto that a little bit later in the show. We have got an outstanding segment called Super-GLOU, which is good, or Imposter, which is bad.
You're blown away, aren't you?
That ain't going to stick, is it?
How long did that take to come up with? That
Weeks.
Yeah.
Absolutely weeks.
I love the word, I just don't like the colours, man. There's too many red
Blue and
and
white,
white.
yeah.
But listen, guys, what we're going to do, we're going to run through 5 incidents in the recent history of your fine football club. And all we want to hear from you guys is, very briefly, whether they're Super-GLOU, which is good, or imposter, which is bad. I think those basic rules should be fairly easy to grasp. Are you all set?
Spurs fans,
Yeah, I
don't
think
know.
they're... Oh, come on.
Right, first one, we've got Big Ange bombing out Erik Dyer. He's been a loyal servant to you guys. 29 years old. I think he's played 362 games for Spurs, and he's still not getting a look in, even though you've got about 1 million players out injured. Is that Super-GLOU or imposter?
Super-GLOU, 100%. I think that Ange needs to take this football club forward. Erik Dyer has had his time at Spurs. Yes, he's been a good servant to the football club, but it's time to move on, time for change, time for winning things.
I must admit, yeah, I mean, the amount of Tottenham fans, not saying it's you, but the amount of Tottenham fans I know who last season, when I would suggest perhaps his time was gone, no, you don't understand, you don't watch him enough, you don't understand football. Now Ange has done it. Yeah, no, I've always hated him. I wanted him out years ago. Right, Son Heung-min, this one's obviously a little bit contentious because he's been so important this season, but a boss of ours at SunSport has been saying for a long period of time now that Son Heung-min only scores the 3rd goal in 3-1 wins. He only ever puts the gloss on Tottenham wins. He's been living in Harry Kane's shadow, and he should have been taking games by the scruff of the neck a bit more as the world-class player that so many people think he is. Is that a Super-GLOU take or said by an imposter?
He's got the best statistic for finishing chances, apparently, in all 5 leagues.
Is that this season?
Yeah, that's last season and this season. The best statistics. So, yeah, definitely Super-GLOU, man. He's amazing. Is that Super-GLOU, whether it sticks is good or bad?
Well, no, the take.
The take is imposter.
Yeah, take's imposter.
And he's also just got the record for the most assists in Premier League history for Tottenham. Heung-min Son is my favourite all-time Spurs player.
Yeah, he's amazing.
An incredible player, assisting, scoring.
Son goes under the radar a lot. Not that we care as Tottenham fans, because it means other clubs are not coming in from.
Yeah.
I'm amazed over the years that no other clubs like your Real Madrid, your Barcelona's come in for Son.
We've got to talk about club legends. Harry Kane obviously abandoning you guys to go and try and win a title, the Bundesliga of all titles. Some are saying you guys are a better team without him. Or on the flip side, you could look at it and say you'd be higher up in the table with him. You could win the title. So is it a Super-GLOU or imposter, that one?
I wouldn't say we're a better team without him. We're a different team, and as Ange has said already, he would have fit into this team perfectly. We'd probably have more points, but ultimately our season has been about injuries. Had we not had those injuries, we'd probably be sitting top of the league, unbeaten right now.
Yeah.
But Harry Kane,
well above West Ham and Fulham.
But,
I think we're clipping
That's
that
not
bit
an
out.
achievement. That's not an achievement.
But Harry Kane, of course, he's left. He wants to win trophies. He wants to be successful. He wants to finally get over that line and be successful. And I get that. Harry Kane's gone in his direction. Spurs are going in their direction. And I've always said it's not just about one player at a football club. The club must move forward without stars sometimes. And I think that it will be successful for Spurs and for Harry Kane. So I think it's worked out well for both.
I'm the same. I think last season was one injury away from a disaster with Harry Kane getting an injury, but now the players stepping up to fill that void. Yeah, I mean, we now have 76 injuries. It's like, maybe it's a problem.
Yeah. So just to sum up then, that Tottenham are a better team without Harry Kane. Is that Superglue or an imposter take?
I don't think we're a better team, no. So I think it's an imposter take. I don't think we're a better team. How can you take the world's best striker, in my opinion, out of your team and be a better team? It's impossible. Yeah. I would say that was an imposter.
Looks like he's not even going to win the Bundesliga title. It's a Harry Kane curse.
Which actually links quite nicely into this one. This one was quite tough, right? When I was helping out thinking about these, I was like, oh, is it that the club crest is a chicken sitting on a beach ball? Is it that their fans make up wonderful songs to Robbie Williams songs? And I was like, I can't do that to the bloke's face. Everyone knows that's a Superglue take. But the Spursy tag, right? Some people love using it for your team. They can't wait for it all to go wrong again so they can just go, hey, Spursy this, Spursy that. For you guys, though, the idea that it is going to be shaken off under Ange Postecoglou, everyone, like I say, was as soon as you failed to win in 5 games, was it? Everyone was creeping out with it again. Here we go. You go 1-0 up against West Ham, lose 2-1. Oh, it's Spursy this, Spursy that. Do you think that you're going to shake it under Ange?
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with what Jamie Redknapp's saying about if we didn't have those injuries, this wouldn't be happening. If you take out 2 or 3 players from anyone in the Premier League, 2 or 3 best players from anyone in the Premier League, you're going to lose results. It's any team.
Don't all clubs get injuries, though?
Yeah, but sorry, mate. Yeah, we are, in my opinion, I think fair to say we all think the same. Our starting 11, that 11 you saw from the Brentford game right through to the Chelsea game almost. I think we give it anybody in the world a game. That's not being too Billy Big Boy about it. I think we could, but you take elements of those cogs, some of those cogs out the wheel. Van der Ven, Maddison, we're going to suffer.
And I think as transfer windows go on, we'll become better and better and better as well, because in recent seasons, a lot of Spurs fans have been worried about the depth, and I think that Ange will finally bring in the players that he wants to take the club forward. So I think then we will get rid of that Spursy tag. I hate that term, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah, me neither, actually.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming on, guys. It's been great picking your brains about your beloved Spurs. But how are you feeling about the rest of the season? Is the title chase on, Champions League spots?
I'm worried about January. I'm worried about January because we're losing Bissouma, Sarr, Son again. So if we get past January into February, we're doing all right, then I think we get Champions League.
We haven't played any European football this season. So after the great start that we've had, and if we have a good January transfer window, the aim must be to get European football and perhaps Champions League football next season. That's definitely the aim.
Yeah, an improvement on last season is what we spoke about it on the podcast actually. What you just want to see us improve. I think everybody's had to temper their expectations after we was top of the league for so many weeks, and now obviously we as you say we've only just won a game after 4 games.
It's not Spursy though.
No,
it's not Spursy.
It's not. I would say we're relying on United to stay in Europe to actually guarantee that coefficient.
Yeah, because there could be 5 places in the Champions League this season.
Yeah, United need to stay in, I believe.
Yeah, and when West Ham obviously win the Europa League, that's going to help. Yeah.
This is strange. Right, I'm going to pick that up. The strange bit is you got to cheer on the English teams in Champions League to go and try and get that 5th place, I suppose. Man. Yeah. And I can't cheer on the Woolwich, so we're just cheering on Man United.
Absolutely.
Well, I feel like through gritted teeth, I'm saying I'm a bit convinced about Spurs this season, having spoken to you guys. So no, thank you.
Ange is so lovable, isn't he? Ange,
he is annoying.
Everyone loves him.
Yeah. You're loving him instead, are you?
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty hooked.
He just keeps coming out with those things. It's more when he's asked about general life, and he just answers in like the sort of manner like one of my dad's mates would. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right actually. Yeah, can you come and like give me some life advice, Ange? I feel like I want him like looking after my finances.
That's what I said. Bedtime story.
I know a few reporters, and they say they all look forward to the Ange presses. Yeah. It's always going to be amazing.
Well, it was our colleague Tom Barkley, actually the Spurs correspondent, who's had a couple of. Shall we say, quick-witted responses. I think Tom was the one who Ange turned around to him when he suggested 45 million for James Maddison was a bargain, and Ange just went, "I don't know what world you're living in, mate. 45 million pound bargain." See, was that better than mine?
That was good.
I think we should.
Welsh?
Yeah, Welsh, mate. Yeah.
We've got to this stage in the podcast and we haven't even said mate.
Yeah, tell me about it.
That's the thing I notice about Ange presses. If he starts with mate or look, he doesn't necessarily agree with what the reporters asked.
Yeah.
So just watch out for that.
Well, before we go, the show would not be complete without a little competition. We wanted to build a little rivalry between the fans that we get on here, so we've come up with a challenge to see who is the real GOAT of the fan networks.
So, gentlemen, we're going to put you through a little challenge at the end of the show. There's a huge bag of balls there and a foot pump. I think you can probably figure out what we're going to be doing. You've got 90 seconds. Izzy's going to ask you a question. You've got 90 seconds to pump up as many balls as you can and give as many answers to the question Izzy asks as possible. 5 points for every ball you pump up, 1 point for every question you get right.
That's right, Craig. Welcome to the Perfect Delivery in partnership with our faves, Muck Delivery. Sounds easy, eh? And if you do well, we might even treat you to a little something. Maybe a chicken nugget or something like that.
Right, gents, very important. Your score will be the first and last and only score on our leaderboard this week. But you've got a Gooner on next week, so you've got to make sure you're above those. Craig, are you ready to go? Do you understand the game?
I am. And
Cannot wait to see ball skills.
I haven't even bought you a drink yet.
Izzy, you ready with the question?
Yep.
OK, are you ready, Craig?
I am.
OK, 3, 2, 1.
Right, name as many of the 17 goalkeepers to have kept more than 100 Prem clean sheets.
All right, Peter Schmeichel.
Yeah.
Hugo Lloris.
We don't know the answer, so just keep on
David
asking.
Seaman.
Right, now let's pump. New ball.
David Seaman of the Perfect.
Joe Hart.
Find the whole
Can't find the valve. There we go. Oh my God.
Can't find the valve.
Am I allowed help from my other people?
Absolutely no chance.
Oh,
30 seconds gone.
That's done.
You've got a minute left.
That's done.
You're flying through this.
2 balls pumped up so far.
I think you get more. Oh, I can't think of any
Can't find the
names. Oh my God. The worst question to ask me about the goalkeepers.
45 seconds, halfway through.
One-handed pump.
Think early Premier League, Craig.
Early Premier League.
We will allow
Neville Southall.
I doubt it.
Oh my God.
we got a minute gone, 30 seconds
Think
left.
goalkeepers
Look at
now.
them guns.
Not West Ham.
Oh, David Raya.
5 points
Van
for
der
pumping the
Sar.
ball.
Man City, Liverpool.
Edison. Allison.
Keep going, 15 seconds to
Evil
go.
mastermind.
I'm on Google here.
Cudicini.
10 seconds.
Come on, Craig.
Going.
Pump broke.
5, 4,
I'm done.
3, 2.
The pump broke. It's not working again.
You had, I think you missed Petr Cech off of there.
Oh God.
Some of the absolute
There is a
iconic
problem with that, though, so can we
Premier
go
League
through
goalies.
VAR?
Performance, isn't it?
Brad Friedel, Pepe Reina, Jussi Jääskeläinen, I think might have
you're
been on
saying
there.
it's-
Nigel
he's beating
Martin,
them, he's
Mark
beating them.
Schwarzer, absolutely
You'd
loads.
ask me
You left
Premiership
behind
players
there,
to score over 100 goals. I don't.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid that will be the question when the West Ham fans. Listen, you got 6 correct answers. That's 6 points plus 2 pumped up balls, I think, which gives you a grand total of 16 points, which puts you top and bottom and middle of our brand new leaderboard.
You
for the
could win your
Perfect
first title.
Top, did you?
The trophies are coming.
Oh, it's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on, guys. Been a great show. Thank you again to the brilliant Tottenham fans, Chris Cowlin, Craig Dearman and James Black.
Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.